Well, the prosecution and the defense has presented their closing arguments in the trial of former police officer Mark Torre Jr. PNC's Donna De Jesus has more on the story.
After 15 days of testimony, closing arguments were finally presented in Mark Torre Jr.'s murder trial. First up was the prosecution, but instead of lead prosecutor Phil Tydenko, Assistant Attorney General Joe McDonald presented closing arguments. His focus was on Torre's supposed recklessness, saying that Torre was military and SWAT trained, making him highly experienced and knowledgeable in regards to gun safety. McDonald adds that Torre ignored a general order from the Guam Police Department to not combine alcohol and gun use, suggesting that his recklessness does not necessitate a motive.
You heard testimony about a general order, police policy and procedure. Do not combine alcohol with a gun, and it reads, when you're going to use the gun. He's got a great deal of training and experience. That training and experience does not entitle him to be ignorant of safety. It does not entitle him to risk when he should know better. He's not entitled to be reckless. Recklessness. You don't need a reason. You don't need a motive.
And then there was the issue of Torre's alleged alcohol-induced blackout.
Heard a lot about alcohol-induced blackout. Now the judge will instruct you, or he may instruct you, that it's really just relevant to that he can't remember at this time. It fits the narrative because he says a lot of things in this time. It fits the narrative. If I can't remember, I can disclaim what is said. I can disclaim what's going on. I can disclaim what all these witnesses said because I don't remember.
There's also the body cam video, which McDonald says shows Torre being evasive when answering questions about what happened.
You can see on the body cam that he's actually responding to questions, like he knows what's going on. The body cam shows that he's evasive. Again, he doesn't talk about what happened, he talks about what didn't happen. The answers are driven by self-focus. His friend just got shot, but he's self-focused. Trying to preserve himself. He knows he's in trouble.
On the other hand, Attorney Jay Arreola presented closing arguments for the defense, challenging the prosecution's argument that a motive was needed.
I would add to that, ladies and gentlemen, that the absence of motive is a good indication that he's not guilty. The presence of motive is also a good indication that he might be guilty. Motive is a reason to shoot and kill him. If he had no reason whatsoever to shoot and kill Bert, it tends to prove he's not guilty of that. There is an absence, an utter absence, a deafening absence, if you will, of motive in this case. All things being equal, you look at this case and you say, if you view the evidence in the case as reasonably permitting either of two, innocent or guilty, you must acquit. If it's reasonable to think either conclusion is possible, that's not beyond the reasonable doubt.
Arreola argued that the evidence supported the defense's theory of Torre attempting to prevent Piolo's suicide.
In an effort for Bert to resist Mark taking the gun. It's very easy to pull back, away from Mark, and shoot it down that way.
There's also the blood evidence, which Arreola says does not support the prosecution's theory of a drunken rage.
Take a look at all that blood in the middle of the seat. It's not on the right hand side. There you go. There you go. Could Bert really be seated all the way in the chair when he was shot?
Arreola adds the government rushed to judgment that investigators did not bother to check Piolo for gunshot residue or fingerprints and arrested Torre based strictly on the 911 call.
All the cops are already at San Lorenzo. 5 of them. Who's in shock? Who's delirious at that point?
The prosecution is expected to give their rebuttal to the defense's closing arguments before the jury goes into deliberation. Reporting for PNC, I'm Donna De Jesus.
The prosecution's rebuttal argument is scheduled for 8:30 tomorrow morning.